Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you. You rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
So we are here to tell you that having a goal of 0 or very little screen time during the summer might be a detriment to your kids on learning how to live alongside the technology as they get older. Why not teach them how to use tech to their advantage as well as for your advantage?
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the brilliant Brie Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you? I was hoping you would say mischievous.
Mischievous? That doesn't have an alliteration, Brie. Brilliant. No.
Be getting me in trouble. There you go.
So why are you feeling mischievous today?
It's been a struggle this morning. As I've mentioned briefly on a couple of episodes, my daughter got a puppy a couple of months back, and today he is extremely rambunctious. He is getting into everything. He's clawing, he's digging, he's chewing, he's squeaking, and it's making me feel mischievous myself. We'll just say that.
It would make me want to scream. Puppies drive me crazy.
It wouldn't be a big deal if we weren't recording.
Yeah.
But people, you have to feel my pain. Every time I hear him digging or squeaking something, which you may hear in the background of this episode, I'm constantly trying to get to the mic to mute it as fast as I can so I don't hear squeaking in the background or digging or growling or whining. I have nobody else to babysit the puppy today. My daughter's at work. She has 2 jobs this summer. I'm very happy she's being responsible, but I'm tired of babysitting my furry grandchild. So,
yeah, I wouldn't like that. No way.
No. You know what? I wish the puppy would watch a screen.
Yeah, there's a segue. If only you can put the puppy in front of an app and have the puppy be entertained, because that's what we're talking about today. All the screen time that comes with summer break, because this is a huge guilt inducer for so many moms out there. So if you're listening right now and you're like, oh my gosh, my kid is spending so much time on screens. I feel like such a bad parent. I should be making these enriching activities for them. They should be making their own meals. They should be doing all these things. Don't worry. We got some solutions for you. You're going to feel a lot better at the end of this episode. So let's get on with the show.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
It was interesting, Brie. We were just having this discussion on a balanced coaching call yesterday about one of our members just is going crazy. She works from home and her 3 kids spent all day long on their screens. And she lives in Ohio on a farm property. And I mean, when I describe this to you, Brie, you'd be like, this sounds like heaven, because we're here in Arizona where the temperatures get so high. And she's here in Ohio with green, grassy fields, temperatures highs in the 80s. There's a stream going through her property. And I mean, it sounds like heaven from an Arizona observer.
Well, it also sounds like a place where kids can get into a lot of mischief, in my opinion. Good mischief. Good mischief. But still mischief.
That's her thought as well, but like not mischief. She just wants them to go outside and explore. And she brought this up with her 14-year-old, and their answer is, we've explored everything already, Mom.
Then let's explore some summer jobs. No, let's explore some new chores since you're apparently.
Well, as you know, they're 14, 12, and 11.
Okay.
Anytime that you as a parent initiate something like chores, you have to monitor the chores. You have to follow up on the chores to make sure they're done. And she works full time. It's such a problem with so many families, it's unfair, first of all.
That mom gets all the crap.
Well, the mom gets all the crap. And that also, like, we live in one of the wealthiest nations in the entire world. Why isn't there affordable childcare that we could sign our kids up to, that we don't have to start planning in January to attend, nor that costs $400, $500 a week per child?
You also mentioned there's also the restrictions of your location.
Yeah.
Talking about the farm setup, that's awesome. That's great. I see a lot of benefits to that. Having lived out in the rural area where we didn't even have house numbers. We didn't have house numbers, Joanne, where I originally grew up. And I'm talking like I remember all this, but I was 4. So most of this comes from my parents. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like when you live out that far, you don't always even have house numbers. It's like I'm the 3rd house on the left from the blue one. So location can make it difficult as well, getting things available there. So you have to work with what you have.
Yeah.
And we're here to pull away the guilt of trying to make the summer work when you are the default parent that is there with the kids during summer break and everybody's schedule gets upheaved.
I want to, though, reduce the expectations that moms are putting on themselves.
Okay.
Because this is not how life is supposed to be.
True.
No one should be expected to focus on a full-time job and take care of their kids at the same time at home. It is almost impossible. And I just want to like peel back the curtain. Recently, as my kids have gotten older, I have regained so much focus that I didn't even know was missing. Just because I don't have to react to all their demands anymore or drive people places. I mean, my daughter having her driver's license as a 16-year-old is a complete game changer. Complete game changer.
Yeah.
Frees up so much of my time. The other day I sent her grocery shopping. It was amazing.
Let me know how you got her to do that. Actually, no, I know how. Your daughter is just a little bit more. I can't even get my kids. I'll be like, can you please run to the store and get XYZ? And they'll be like, nah, I don't feel like it. I'm like, yeah, but I need this for you. And they'll be like, nah, I don't need it. I don't need it. And then you know what? The next day, where's this? Where's X, Y, and Z? Well, remember when you refused to go get it for me?
She was stomping through the house being like, I'm bored. I'm like, well, you know, Dad missed a few things. First common enemy. Not that my husband's an enemy, but you know, when you're thinking in terms of convincing and motivation, common enemy.
When you're trying to get the kids on your side, you need a common enemy. I get you.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, Josh. I threw you under the bus.
He would be fine. I know he would. He'd be like, throw away.
But I was like, you know, Dad missed a few things on a shopping trip, you know, the things that you wanted. He got the wrong true fruit. And he also like got the wrong size tortillas I need for a recipe. So you'd be helping me out there. So there we go. She's on my side to help me out. And if you go, you can go get like a sweet treat for yourself at the grocery store too, whatever you want to get. And she was like, okay.
Yeah. I'll throw in your swing by to Starbucks, you know?
I want to tell that story because when my kids were like 12 and I don't know, 7, that was their age gap, I did not have that freedom or flexibility. I was driving to summer programs to drop them off. I was coordinating play dates where I could maybe get some work done at the jump park with my headphones on as they went and jumped on trampolines. I was doing all those things and I did not have the focus necessary. And if I had worked for another employer, I'm sure I would have gotten fired. I mean, the fact that I work for myself and I'm like, I'll just do that a little bit later or I'll work on the weekend. Yeah. So just to say, screen time, if you're struggling with it right now, and if you see your kids on the couch and you're like, oh my gosh, why won't they just do something? Just know the reality of the situation is incredibly difficult.
It is. So like we are here to let you guys know that in general, as moms, we have too much placed on our shoulders during the summer. There are plenty of stay-at-home dads too, and that's awesome and that's great. But the truth of the matter is the majority of the time it falls on mom, whether or not she's working from home. And I mean, working from home for an outside employer or for herself as an entrepreneur, or working at home in terms of being the chief engineer at home, the one who is taking care of the family. You're still trying to maintain your family and your household the way you did while your kids were in school during the year and you had a little bit of time off. You're still trying to get all that stuff done along with watching your kids 24/7, making meals, doing all the jazz. And we're here to tell you that it's okay.
Well, I want to counter another crappy expectation as well.
Oh my goodness, you're just countering. What's next?
Countering. I'm feisty.
You are feisty today. Feist away.
Okay. This woman's husband, she was talking to him about the screen time.
Mm-hmm.
And his response was, well, you're their mom. They should just do what you say.
Okay, let me know where that button is. Can I switch that? Is it a mode? Do I like pull up their hair and in the back there's like a mode button? Like listen to mom, not listen to mom, demon child. Is that the 3 settings?
Talking about lived experience here. So if somebody says that to you, they do not have the lived experience of taking care of children and focusing on their own stuff at the same time. They don't.
Not for a long period of time. In my opinion, anybody can step into it for a day or 2 and feel, now I'm not saying everybody does, but anybody can make it work for the short term. Mm-hmm. It's making it work for the long term. And when I say long term, we're talking more than a couple of days. We're talking summer vacation. We're talking longer.
Even like short term. So like I go away from time to time for like 3 days, 4 days for like a business trip or girls trip or whatever. And when I come back, everything is good. Everything is golden. But my husband is ready to lose his freaking mind. And he's like, I don't know how you do it. We don't have a set schedule, but he does know, hey, I'm not going to leave a giant mess for my wife to come back to because number 1, she would kill me. Number 2, like, guys, I'm scary. I'm sorry. But also, there's a bit of a pushback to that because when we say short term, people can make it work for short term. They're not really making it work short term.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's where I was going.
Yeah. Because they leave a mess for you to clean up with. That's not help. That's not help.
Or even better, in my first marriage, if I was gone, which was very rare, I could think of it 3 times I had to leave without my husband and left him with the kids for an overnight. Never longer than 2 days. No, wait, one of them was 3 days. But regardless, I'd come back, there'd be a mess to take care of.
Yeah.
But his opinion would be like, I did it. I don't know why you make it sound so hard. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, how did you do it? Well, we just did takeout and I dropped him off at my parents'. I don't know why you make this so hard. And it's like, is that my choice then? Do I get to just go get us McDonald's every day? Is that my option? I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could just drop them off at their grandparents' house every day for 3 months. That's an option.
So as we start this discussion about screen time, just know that if your kids are on the screens like 24/7 and you're feeling guilty about it, girl, it's okay. They're on screens. You are doing so much. But if you want some suggestions and you really, really want to get them off screens and exploring a little bit more, we have them for you too. And we're going to get into them right after this.
Okay, guys, the C word, it runs in my family, and a yearly physical just doesn't give me all the things I need to know. And that's why I am so excited about Function Health.
Exactly. We know you've heard us talk about it, but Function Health is truly the all-in-one health platform that helps you take control of your health through data. Instead of guessing what's happening inside your body, Function helps you know, providing access to over 160 tests.
These tests go way beyond the most traditional checkup. We're talking about insights to your thyroid, hormones, liver, heart health, autoimmunity, kidney function, and even heavy metal toxicity.
What I love is that your Function membership includes biannual testing. So you establish a baseline and then you can easily spot changes over time. I'm really interested in the tests that help with understanding food and emotions and boosting my energy. So take control of your health outside the doctor's office today and get a $100 credit towards your annual membership at functionhealth.com/no-guilt. But act fast. The $100 credit is only for the first 1,000 listeners. Sign up right now at functionhealth.com/no-guilt. That's functionhealth.com/no-guilt.
Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you. You rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
So in terms of parenting, we come at you with a very realistic view of parenting. You know, you go and you hear experts who talk about like, here's the best benefits for kids and here are why kids are anxious and da 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 da. But I feel like all of those experts have a very narrow view of the situation where they mean the best. They know their topic area, anxiety and screens maybe, or ADHD and screens, anything that they talk about, but they're not looking at the entire picture, the entire ecosystem. And part of that ecosystem is you. You are important in this ecosystem.
You deserve to have some brain time too.
Yes. If you're
Sanity.
doing everything in your parenting just for your kids and you are like silently suffering or maybe not so silently suffering and losing it, it's not working. Regardless of what all the research and data says about what's best for kids, just know you need to be part of the equation too.
Okay.
So yeah, here in Balance, here in No Guilt Mom, we really look at parenting being less about the perfect parenting and more about the parenting that is sustainable for you, that makes you happy as a person, gives you a great relationship with your kids, teaches them how to self-direct, but it's not perfect.
And I have to run in on this too. Like, since we're talking about screen time, I feel like, and I'm part of the problem, I'm going to 100% admit that when in my previous life, when I started my career, I did parent education, follow-up, all that kind of stuff. And when I did that, one of the big current research suggestions was that, you limit the time that your kids are on screens. And yes, that is very true for newborns, babies. You don't want them in front of a TV or a screen 24/7. You do want to limit it during that time where their brain is going through 90% of its development.
Mm-hmm.
However, tech is part of modern life, people.
It is. Yeah.
So like us trying to limit their screen time to that unrealistic expectation of we're going to have no screens, or we're going to have it where they only get 20 minutes a day and it's only going to be educational games. Like, it does depend on the age group. Let's start with that. But in my personal parenting opinion, you're doing your children somewhat of a disservice by trying to act as if tech can be avoided in their everyday life. It's not going to be. We're telling you as ghosts of kids' future that your kids are going to have tech. They're going to have it as early as like elementary school moving forward. They're going to have to know how to do this stuff.
And history repeats itself. And this same kind of fear that we see around screens, the same thing happened when the publishing press became a thing and the printing press started printing books, and people worried about kids' minds getting ruined by all of this literature that they were reading. And they were just sitting there not interacting with anyone else, but reading their books.
Okay, that's hilarious.
But this was a thing. It was a thing.
Yeah,
and it's like, when you look at that compared to our fears right now about screens, you have to see it's kind of the same. They were concerned about kids being exposed to different ideals and values that weren't their own values, or being exposed to things that they weren't ready for.
That sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar, right? They were concerned about the lack of socialization among the youth who were caught up in their books.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing that's going on now. Think about what we think of books today. We would love for our kids to be just reading all day. I mean, I think we would all consider ourselves the best parents ever if they were reading all day.
Well, I had that kid. That was my oldest when I would say pretty much from the time he learned to read until about 7th grade. I had one kid who wanted to be social. My daughter, your daughter, they loved hanging out, but my son would be like, I'll just sit in my room and read a book. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And he struggled with getting those social connections done. But trust me, I'm glad he was a reader. That was the worst thing the teachers would tell me at parent-teacher conference. He's a delight to have in class. He just constantly hides books and reads. And then he's not paying attention to the lesson.
That was me too. I would hide the book under my desk and I would read while the teacher was talking. Because
just to be clear, not reading a textbook, but reading. So
No, Dawn in the Babysitters Club was so much more interesting than my 4th grade teacher.
I'm like, my son was really into the fantasy world with like dragons and magic and all of that.
That's cool.
Right. So our point is, again, that we are here to tell you that screen time is helpful. First of all, screen time is helpful regardless, but there are things, like you said, that you can do to make it feel like it's not taking over your kids and that you're not doing those things that you talked about. They're not being exposed to things that they're not ready for yet. They're not being exposed to anything that you're not familiar with. And I want to say that rather than values that you don't, because I think one thing that we've talked about this month is how sometimes we can overgeneralize things.
Yeah.
And we can assume that a certain message is being pushed because we aren't familiar with it ourselves.
Yeah. Even with the phrase information your kids aren't ready for yet, I would put just porn in that category because there's not much out there. I mean, porn, violence against women, violence in general, but even like the violence in video games and stuff and the cartoon violence, it's really a spectrum. You can't define it very well. I think that there's more fears when it comes to screen time use than there is actual data suggesting that it is bad. You know, some of the arguments that we've heard, Bree, our advice from our pediatricians when our kids were that age was, oh, don't let them watch TV. And now I feel like TV is more of a thing of the past. I was thinking about this, and I don't know if you could talk to like a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old and be like, what's your favorite TV show? Because everything they have is on streaming.
Bluey.
Or it's on YouTube. Yeah. Even Bluey's on streaming, really. I mean, we don't sit down and watch a TV show like we used to and see all those commercials and want all the bazillion things.
And I do think that that has definitely changed. So with that being said, we're going to share with you guys, first of all, we're hoping that you're getting out of this that screen time is not your enemy.
It's not your enemy.
It isn't. It's another piece of the puzzle of life that we have to figure out how to integrate well. So after this break, we are going to give you guys some light framework that you can use based on your kid's age to be able to use screen time to your advantage during these rough summer break months with your kids.
Well, that would be delightful, Bree Tucker.
Yes, that won't make you pull your hair out.
And we'll get to it right after this.
Long gone are the days of waiting to be seen in a doctor's office only to have that awkward conversation with your healthcare provider. WISP gives you access to sexual and reproductive healthcare from the comfort of your home. Get treatment for BV, yeast infections, UTIs, and much more delivered directly to your home or ready for pickup at your local pharmacy in less than 3 hours. The best part? WISP is discreet, convenient, and you don't need medical insurance to receive care or prescription medication. Visit us today at hellowisp.com.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino. A meal isn't just about what's on your plate. It's about what you bring to the table. San Pellegrino believes the table is where the best of life happens. That's what makes gathering around it so rich and rewarding. And with their unique sparkling natural mineral water, San Pellegrino brings its best so you can bring yours.
Okay, so let's break this down by age groups, because if there's one thing that I think that we both definitely know from personal experience is that screen time looks different based on how old your kids are.
Yep.
Right? So reaching back into our past, we're going to go and we're going to start with like the preschooler type age. The age where 3 to 5-ish, your kid is at home, needs a lot of interaction, a lot of adult supervision to some extent.
Also known as the most exhausting age.
Yes. And I'm not saying that you have to be with them 24/7, but you do have to be aware of what they're doing pretty much all the time.
They can be very creative.
Yeah.
In a destructive manner.
Oh my God, yes. They can be like puppies, people. Okay. Anyway, so some of the big things that you could do is, first of all, This is the big reason that they suggest, or at least in research in the past, it had suggested not to do screen time with little kids. It's because they're not getting their main mode of learning, which is through interaction, back and forth. So, hey, what we're telling you is let them have screen time, but if you can, co-view with them, watch it with them, talk to them, ask questions. Oh, wow, why do you think they did that? Oh, man, I would be feeling the same way if I were Bluey right there. Or have them watch one of those shows that is interactive. I'm going to reach back really far here. Dora the Explorer.
Yeah, you're
always
going to go
comes
for
up.
Dora. Yeah.
A lot of the viewing made for 3 to 5 year olds is call and responsive these days.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are like that. Or just have them have short bursts of using it. Maybe it's every hour we're going to do 15 minutes or something. Whatever you want, whatever works for you and your family.
Or put on a show like Sesame Street. I mean,
Oh my
Sesame
gosh.
Street was originally created to teach kids to read who couldn't access early childhood programs.
Okay, I feel bad. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I've never questioned why it started.
Well, it was PBS, Public Broadcasting System. And yeah.
That makes sense. Brought to you by the letter E.
Yeah. An educational tool for kids. And kids would learn their ABCs and everything off of Sesame Street. So it's an example of how screens, like, they're not evil. They're not evil at all. And of course, interacting with humans is a great, great thing. But also, you can be exposed to so many different situations and environments and family makeups through entertainment and through education. Most of this stuff is an art form. And the purpose of art, I'm going to get real deep here because we're talking about 3 to 5 year olds. So I do know my audience. But the purpose of art and entertainment is to stir human emotions.
Yep.
And so there is a value there.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing with screen time not being evil.
Well, this is going to lead us into the next age group that is your jam, because now we're going to talk about elementary school, kind of like the earlier elementary, kindergarten through 4th, 5th grade timeframe.
Yeah, I like the older elementary, but elementary.
I know, but this first tip is definitely one that I've heard you talk about. Start building media literacy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like asking those questions.
Starting. It's starting.
Yeah.
Of, hey, is this true? Is this what this is being presented? Is this right? And those are questions that will serve you all throughout their childhood. Because I was just having a conversation actually with my 11-year-old son. And he's like, hey, Mom, did you know cheating next year is going to be illegal? And I'm like, tell me more about this. And he's like, yeah, they're going to make it a law that if you're married and you cheat on your spouse, you're going to go to jail. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah. And I'm like, and where did you hear this? Oh, no, some article. Find that article. I don't think that's true. I haven't heard anything like that. But that is an example of media literacy. It's knowing that when you hear something, do you trust it or do you not trust it? And these are conversations that you can start when they're in early elementary.
Yeah, because they're really interested in finding out the facts at that age. They are so interested in finding the facts. So that's a big one right there. And another one too for that age group is they can read time to some extent. Most kids can read a digital clock, or they start working on that in like kindergarten, 1st grade. So this age group, they are familiar with at least the concept of time, if not able to read a clock. So you can start using those timers or pointing out to things, and they're going to be able to maintain it without you as much. Okay, you have 5 minutes, you have 10 minutes. And you were using something with your family. I never ended up doing this, but I loved it. You use some of the parental options on your devices.
Oh, yeah.
Where it limits their time.
We had Google Family Link, which it was called at the time, where all you do is you sign on through your Google account and it'll shut off their device after a specific time frame. And usually those times were not hard times with us. We would have 30 minutes and then our kids would come to us and say like, oh, here's what I was doing. Here's what I want more time for. And that would just be the chance to have a conversation.
And you know what else I love about that right there? Just sorry to interrupt. I'm just so excited. You gave your child the opportunity to practice defending their opinion.
Yeah.
Defending their thought process, which is a fantastic Fantastic skill to have.
It is fantastic. It is hard as a parent sometimes to have kids who are that good at defending their thought process because they will usually use that against me, but and my husband. Because very stubborn. Like I'm much more easily swayed. They know how I can be swayed. But yeah, they have to say what they're doing. And it's not like they have to defend anything. They just explain. But that was also a time for me to be like, okay, how are you feeling mentally? How's your brain feeling? Are you tired? What have you watched? Have you seen? And I could then notice also if they were a little cranky. And if they were a little cranky, I'd be like, let's take a break right now. Or I see some dishes on the counter. How about you go and take care of your chores and then I can give you more screen time. So it's just an easy way where I did not have to go in and shut it off and then have an immediate tantrum, but they had to come and negotiate with me and make friends with me and make me happy before they continued their screens. And that's a much different dynamic. Much easier to deal with.
Which actually leads us into our older elementary. Because, I mean, honestly, because the skills you're talking about, they flow right into that. Okay, now we're talking about 5th grade through junior high.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about, and this is a big one that I feel like this is the sweet spot to be introducing this to them for sure. How does this make you feel?
Yep.
How do you feel after spending that time?
How do you feel? Exactly. And the self-regulation. So for example, my son's almost 12. He does not have screen time limits anymore on his devices because we see him be able to control not really even control his screen time use, more like how it affects him in the content he's viewing. He's very into sports right now. He's playing a lot of Madden on the Xbox, which I can't say with a straight face because my last name's Madden and I still don't get that. But and he plays Roblox. There's like a lot of football games on Roblox, which by the way, Roblox has very much increased their graphics ability.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's playing this game. I'm like, this is Roblox? This is amazing.
Remember when Roblox was, just came out.
No, they've gotten better, but it's like a football game. It's not even like role playing. It's just a general football game. So we learned just through going through it with my daughter, and she gets mad at us all the time because her brother got a cell phone earlier than she did. He has no screen time limits on his phone earlier than she did. And it's just part of being the second child instead of the first child. Like, we knew a little bit more about what we were doing with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that is 100% true. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves with that first kid to get it right.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said about figuring out what were those hills that you didn't need to die on, that you held. So again, I think because also you started it because your daughter was getting into the media. So you needed to learn how to start doing this. You figured it out. And because the path that you chose in your family, which is where you started at a younger age than with your son, you're like, geez, I'm already doing this with my daughter. I might as well do some pre-skills with my son. Now, at the same age as your daughter, he's further ahead because you started sooner on these skills.
It's true. I was just going to say, he saw the whole thing happen through my daughter, and he was in those conversations as a young child. And so he has a lot of screen time. I will say that there's a lot of screen time. However, right now, it doesn't really bother me because school just got out. His school was pretty demanding. He gets pretty stressed at school time. He's the happiest kid right now, just being able to do his own thing and play football stuff. And he wishes we lived in a cooler climate so he could go outside.
I know. For those that don't know, summer in Phoenix is the winter for everywhere else.
Yeah,
we don't go outside because we burn ourselves. So we stay indoors as much as we can.
It's a big production to go outside.
It is. It's a lot. So again, for that older elementary, if you haven't had the conversation before, it's okay. You can still start now. You come up with those agreed upon limits. Let them have a piece of the conversation with you and help determine things. They will have so much more buy-in if they felt like they were heard and that they're being heard and they're being respected on their opinions.
Let's talk about those teens.
Yes. Let's move into teens because this is where it gets interesting.
This is where it gets a little interesting because you can't really restrict teens to the same amount that you can kids. We're running into an issue right now with my son. He very much wants Discord, really wants Discord. And I don't know much about Discord. My husband does. And he's very against my son getting Discord because it's completely unmoderated.
Yeah.
By an outside company who actually has to be held accountable to certain standards for minors. You know, Roblox at least is moderated by the outside company who's accountable to those things. Discord, anyone can be on there. And it's getting into that area now where my son is getting older and he's not seeing why we're restricting him. He's like, don't you trust me? And we're like, oh, it's not about trust, but you do have a point where like, we're going to have to figure out how to do this and let you have it, because the reason he wants it is his friends have formed servers of fantasy football and he really wants to be involved in the fantasy football.
That's what I was going to say. Like you've got that struggle when they get into teens because they're going to start asking to do things that their friends are on. And we're not saying that you need to say absolutely no or absolutely yes.
That's where we are.
There is a middle ground. So for teens, you're going to use collaborative rule setting, asking for their input and asking them to, again, like you talked about earlier, defend their opinion. Okay, and why do you see Discord as something that you need? And then you then present your side of it. This is why we don't want you on Discord. That's one example, but you'll have conversations and then you guys are going to come up with something where you feel comfortable. I think the most important thing when it comes to teens is to let them know, because I always say this, God knows I love my teens, but teens are just preschoolers with better vocabulary.
They went up because you used to say toddlers with better vocabulary. They've aged a bit.
All right. Toddlers, preschoolers, they're still the same. They're all in the same realm to me. Like they're under 5, but with a better vocabulary.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is that teens like to make things long lasting. Oh, well, you said on January 3rd at 4:45 p.m. that I could do XYZ.
The memory of an elephant.
Oh, I know, right? Except for the memory when it comes to getting the chores done. But that's okay. Emptying the dishwasher, vacuuming, whatever. I'm not bitter. We'll just say having that collaborative conversation that also includes, and I have the right to change this as I see appropriate based on what is happening. If I start to see concerning behavior, if I go on Discord and I read something that incredibly inappropriate that popped up on your Discord, the rules will change.
Yeah, it's true. We had screen time protections on my daughter and we took them off for high school because we're like, you know what? You're going to need to start managing this yourself and figuring out how to make this work. And she was having trouble. She was staying up until midnight because she was watching TikToks. And so all we did with that is I just brought up the discussion over and over again. Are you getting enough sleep? Do you think you're getting enough sleep? And she was like, Mom, stop talking about sleep. Stop it. Until she realized that on a school break, when she was able to sleep in until 10, she's like, I'm in such a better mood. I'm like, why do you think that is? Probably because I'm sleeping more. I'm like, oh. And so she asked for the screen time protections to be put back on for a little bit. They're off now. Now that she's a senior, they're off. She knows how it affects her.
Yeah. But it took time to get there.
Yeah, it took time to get there. And she needed to put them back on for a few months. And that's not a failure. That's just realizing that, hey, I need a little more structure regulating, and that's fine.
And wait a minute. Is that also using technology in a way to help your life? Yes, it is. It's realizing that, okay, I'm having a hard time being on this app too much. I'm going to put a restriction on. I did that for myself. I actually have a social media restriction on my phone. Now, I will say this. I hate that it puts Life 360 in there because I constantly have to turn it off and be like, ignore the time limit on Life 360. I'm sorry. I need to know where my kids are.
We can fix that for you, Bree, so that I won't do that.
You'll help me with that. But it does help me limit my doom scrolling because I only allow myself an hour a day. And so anyways, it's about having those conversations. Another big one for teens, and I saw you do this with your kids too, talking about the different types of screen time there are. There's stuff that's social. There's stuff that's creative. There's things that are educational, and helping them be able to determine the difference between them.
There's things that are work related too. And I get called out by my kids for ignoring them and focusing on my phone sometimes, which I do the same for them. We just had the discussion actually that I felt like I was being fubbed Remember that phrase?
Oh, yes. I remember this whole conversation too.
Phone snubbing. And so I called out being fubbed, and she was totally fubbing me, by the way, guys, but she denies it. But she stopped doing it, which was the most important part.
Yeah.
So we have all those things. So just know that in this summer, like, screen time is not a bad thing. You have unrealistic expectations that are being put on you by outer society and are probably even being perpetuated by looking at Instagram and all of the moms posting things about the delightful things their kids are doing, cooking their own dinner or having family movie nights or doing like these delightful art projects. And you're like, what the hell? Or mom saying that, oh, we're imperfect. And yet here's the meal my 7-year-old made. Ah! I'm like, stop it. Stop it.
You can't. It'll just drive you freaking insane.
It'll drive you insane.
Right.
Plus, a lot of those are complete fakery, and they don't even know it's fakery yet. They don't even know the mental space they're in when they're posting those things online.
So we are here to tell you that having a goal of 0 or very little screen time during the summer might be a detriment to your kids on learning how to live alongside the technology as they get older. So I think we both feel very strongly that trying to roll with a 0 screens policy is going to be very mentally draining on the default parent, which 9 times out of 10 is mom. And it's going to bring in a lot of extra conflict that we're telling you that you probably don't necessarily need. So why not teach them healthy habits? Why not teach them how to use tech to their advantage as well as for your advantage?
Yes. Yes. Always think about you in the equation. You are part of the ecosystem as well. And if you're going crazy, that's something to listen to.
Yeah, and we've got some stuff that's cooking. It's going to be popping up here in the next week or so. If you're listening to this as this episode is released in June of 2025, we've got some fun stuff cooking that's going to be coming out in about a week or two to help you guys make it through your summer. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome.
Be great. And it's actually going to have your kids be focused on goals. And maybe if you've been a fan or around No Guilt Mom for a long time, we're bringing back an old favorite that was 5 years ago. But we'll leave that as a little teaser. So stay tuned. Until next time, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You could also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.